Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk is live and direct on a Tuesday. Greetings and salutations. Thanks for being here. We've got 3 hours together here on the Sports Voice of Kansas. 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and on our video streaming channels. Our YouTube channel is 580 Sports Talk. Our Facebook page is WIBW News. However, wherever, whenever you're checking out the show today, thanks so much for being a part of the audience. We welcome you in to 580 Sports Talk. My name is Dan Lucero. Thrilled to be with you on this Tuesday. Spencer Dupuis will be along in a bit. Brendan Dworzinski is off today. 3 hours of sports talk, a lot of football to get to on this edition of the program. We're going to talk some KU basketball. We got Jayhawk Weekly coming up with Michael Swain, bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. He'll be our guest on today's show. So we're going to have fun. We're going to have a fun day here on 580 Sports Talk today, and glad you are here with us. I'm going to do things in reverse today. I'm going to start with the fall cash keyword. I'm just going to get that out of the way. We are giving out $2,000 again today over on our website, 580WIBW.com. We're giving away the hourly keywords, and you drop that keyword in, and when you click the contest link at our website, 580WIBW.com, it'll prompt you for some information, and that information registers you for a chance to win $2,000 today. We got 3 more days after today of the fall cash contest. So if you haven't won that $2,000 yet, $2,000 a day, every weekday last week, every weekday this week. If you haven't won yet, you got 4 more chances. And the more keywords you hear and enter, the better a chance you have to win, naturally. So your 3 o'clock keyword to enter over at 580WIBW.com. Click the contest tab and put in the keyword costume. Costume, COSTUME, costume. Costume. That's our keyword for the hour. That keyword's good till 4 o'clock. Go ahead and enter it at the contest link on our page, 580WIBW.com. Now that that's out of the way, we can get to the sports, shall we? We're going to talk some football. There was a Monday Night Football doubleheader last night. Spencer Dupuis will be late getting in today because he's in mourning. His Manders fell to the Bears last night. He's not really in mourning. It's a 1-point loss. Those things happen in the NFL. Tough one for the Washingtons to lose. It felt like a battle of who wanted to lose more at times, and it felt like the Bears certainly were going to win that battle of who wanted to lose more for the better part of that game, but ultimately Chicago wins that game. The other Monday night game won by the Atlanta Falcons. They beat the Buffalo Bills. That's 2 losses in a row for the Bills. And look, Bills started 3-2 last year and made it to the AFC Championship game. So anybody writing off the Buffalo Bills, despite what was a really promising start, just because they've lost 2 games in a row, you don't know ball if you're writing them off. But it is absolutely correct to be concerned about what is happening to the Buffalo Bills. And more broadly, what has happened to the teams we thought were going to be the AFC heavy hitters in 2025. And if you're in any of those locker rooms right now, even though they don't have as good a record as the Bills, even though they started 0-2 and sit at 500 going into week 7, wouldn't you rather be the Chiefs than not just any of the other supposed AFC contenders coming into the year? Any of the teams in the AFC right now, wouldn't you rather be the Chiefs? Shouldn't they be considered not just the favorites, but perhaps the overwhelming AFC favorites? We'll discuss based on what we saw a little bit last night from the Buffalo Bills and whether or not the things that are wrong with the Bills are fixable. Because I'm not sure they are. The things that bothered the Chiefs early on, they've begun to fix them. They've started to get better. And, oh, yeah, they're getting their best wide receiver back after serving a 6-game suspension this week. But how much are things really going to get better for the Bills? And again, this is not me saying they're going to go 4-13, but we'll talk about it. And speaking of those other would-be contenders in the AFC, there are 4 teams that kind of fall into the upstart group. You had the teams that were the alleged contenders to start the year. And then you had the teams a cut below that who were playoff teams last year and had similar expectations for this season. And the Chargers, the Broncos, and the Texans fall in that group, which leaves 4 teams right now that are kind of the upstarts in the AFC. There's Indianapolis at 5-1, New England at 4-2, Pittsburgh at 4-1, and Jacksonville at 4-2. How do you rank those teams? How do you rank them? How trustworthy are those teams? How built for the long haul for 2025 are those AFC upstarts? Which of those teams is most likely to make some noise in the playoffs? We'll get to that. The other takeaway from last night's NFL action, the young quarterbacks are A-okay. Said it for a long time on this program, and this is not the only program on which you've heard this sentiment. It is better for the NFL when there are more good quarterbacks. The more good quarterbacks there are, the better the product is, the more fun the games are to watch. Good news for the NFL. The rookie class of 2023 looks like a bumper crop. And that's exceptionally good news, given that not holding out a ton of hope for the class of 2025 or 2024, I should say. I should say the quarterback class of 2024. I misspoke. College class of 2023, draft class 2024. I'm not holding out much hope for the draft class of 2025 right now. The draft classes of 2026 and 2027 are looking kind of funny in the light. Like, the NFL needed the 2024 class of rookie quarterbacks to be good, and it looks like the first 3 of them might be really good to great. And that is really, really good for the NFL. We'll discuss that a little bit, as well as what I think is a broad league-wide trend that so far we've seen a lot more quarterbacks with their stock pointing up than their stock pointing down. We'll talk some Chiefs on the show today as well. It's weird to say that it's been a little under the radar, that his play has been under the radar, because there is nothing under the radar about the most tabloid-famous player in the NFL. That's a different discussion for a different day. Like, Travis Kelce's professional success, his personal success, and now his relationship being so public and so prominent. Where does he rank among like the most tabloid famous athletes in history? Like, honestly, like, it's a short list of athletes who are as like capital F famous as Travis Kelce. So it's weird to say that anything about him is under the radar. We just did an entire news cycle about a song by his fiance on her new album. You know the one. If you don't, pour over the track list. I bet you can guess which one it is. And if you can't guess, listen to the album. You'll figure it out. My wife was listening to it the other day. Said she enjoyed it. Said she enjoyed the album. She's not like a diehard Swiftie or anything. We said it was a good album. Anyway, neither here nor there. My point is, Travis Kelce's been really good this year. How good? We'll talk about later. Just what he's doing as far as turning back the clock and how the Chiefs have found a way to get the absolute best out of their veteran tight end. It's been really, really encouraging to see. So lots of football on the docket today. We're going to talk some KU hoops, as I mentioned. The Jayhawks ranked 19th in the preseason AP poll. We mentioned that yesterday in headlines. It is the lowest preseason ranking for KU basketball since the 2008 preseason poll. That team, of course, was coming off a national championship. Lost a lot of guys to the league. But that KU team would go on to win the Big 12 that year and go to the Sweet 16. Sweet 16 appearance for these Jayhawks would represent something they haven't really done a whole lot lately. It's really hard to comprehend when you look at it big picture, just how little success that Kansas has had in the NCAA tournament in the last 7 years. Obviously, they had the biggest success you can have, winning the national title in 2022. That's the only time they've been out of the first weekend in 7 years. COVID-sized asterisk on the 2020 team, I know, but still, the facts are the facts. So are the expectations now just lowered for Kansas basketball? Has the college basketball public maybe moved on a little bit from anticipating Jayhawk dominance? Or do they have a little bit of fear getting burned in the same way that they got burned each of the last 2 years when they overrated those Hunter Dickinson teams? We'll get into that a little bit. We'll ask Michael Swain what he thinks from flawed.net. Michael Swain will join us for Jayhawk Weekly at the bottom of the 4 o'clock hour. Plus, we got our typical Tuesday shenanigans. We'll do some Random Question Tuesday. We got headlines, including a playoff roundup, and game times for KU and K-State men's basketball. We know now when every game, well, roughly, there are a couple still ors on the schedule, but we know when games are going to be played and where you're going to be able to watch them. And folks, get ready to learn Peacock, because it's going to be some Big 12 conference games on Peacock. If you want to watch all the KU and K-State action this season, you're going to need the cock. So we'll tell you that a little bit later on the show as well. Plus, we'll do What Is Wrong With You and your comments, your questions, your concerns, your thoughts on the program. Hit us up on the text line, 785-272-9429. That is 785-272-9429. You can also join us in the live chat on our YouTube stream. 580 Sports Talk is the name of the YouTube channel. Go subscribe to that channel if you have not already. Slam that subscribe button. Doesn't cost you anything but a click. And we appreciate seeing the number go up. And hop in the live chat. Say hello to your fellow listeners. Help grow the 580 Sports Talk community and make your voice heard on the program. A hearty good afternoon to Vance and Mark H. and Paul, Jeff A.L., good to see you. Christopher's in as well. Got some baseball talk going in the chat. Got some NFL talk going in the chat. You guys can talk amongst yourselves. We encourage that. I just might steal a comment or two if it's good, and we'll throw it on the screen, and we'll talk about it on the radio. So appreciate you guys being in on the chat today. Let's talk some football. Bills lost to the Falcons last night, and what really stood out about the game to me was how unafraid the Falcons were of the Buffalo Bills on offense. It's a team with Josh Allen, who I think is the consensus second best quarterback in the league. If everybody's got Mahomes ranked number one, and if they don't, they should. If they don't know ball. Number two is Josh Allen, right? Reigning MVP. You know, you get that privilege when you're the reigning MVP. It's a team with Josh Allen on it, and the Falcons were just totally unafraid of the Bills' passing game. They said, we're going to load up the box because the Bills have a good running game. Obviously, Allen, great with his legs. James Cook, very good player. And their offensive line does a decent job. Like, they've got a pretty good offensive line, I would say. I don't know if it's an elite, like 2024 Eagles or current Lions level offensive line, but it's a good offensive line. And the Falcons just said, all right, yeah, we're not going to let you run the ball. We're going to load up the boxes because we don't think you have anybody who can make a play on the perimeter. And they were right. The Bills don't have anybody who can make a play on the perimeter. That's kind of troubling. It's kind of wild that they still haven't given Josh Allen somebody who can really make plays out there on the perimeter. Also, and this has been a recurring theme even when they were winning games, when they were out to their unbeaten start, their defense, not good. They miss Matt Milano a lot, but let's make no mistake. Matt Milano is not prime Ray Lewis. Matt Milano is not prime Bobby Wagner. Like, we're not talking about a Hall of Famer here. Matt Milano is a fine player, but he is not the kind of guy that should be so outsized in importance for the functionality of a defense. So Buffalo's got some problems. They're not in the toilet. They're not going to finish 4-13. It's still a good team, and Josh Allen still makes them terrifying. But it's very clear that they have warts, and it's very clear that teams are going to be able to exploit those, even teams without great defenses like the Atlanta Falcons. So Buffalo lost. Baltimore's 1-5. Their goose looks cooked. Cincinnati is completely cashed out for 2025. And the Chiefs are 3-3. So those are the four teams, 3 and a possible with regard to Cincinnati. What you thought about Cincinnati really depended on whether you thought their defense could enjoy a dead cat bounce in 2025 and just get back to like slightly below average. Because that, with the offense that was, as we've come to know, the Bills' offense with Joe Burrow the last couple of years, that's playoff team. That's a contending team. So those were the four teams that we felt coming in. If anybody's a contender in the AFC, it's those four. One of them has a winning record. One of them, the Bengals are halfway to Cancun. The Ravens might be about to join them. And then you have the Chiefs. Yeah, they're 3-3. But since week 3 of the season, the best team in football in expected points added per play, the best team in football in offensive success rate, the second best team in football in pressure rate allowed. That's a measure of how well your offensive line is protecting your quarterback. And the third best team in rushing expected points added. That's the Kansas City Chiefs since week 3. And when I watch the Bills, I wonder how they're going to stop the Chiefs. And right now, I watch anybody and wonder how they're going to stop the Chiefs because that's how good the Chiefs are going on offense. And they're about to add Rashee Rice to their lineup again. And the Bills, even with the greatness of Josh Allen, they feel stoppable right now because that's a replicable formula. What the Falcons did to the Bills last night is a formula that Steve Spagnuolo will be more than happy to try to replicate come week 9 when these two teams play. They're going to say, all right, we're going to load up the box. We're going to make you run the ball in a phone booth. And the Chiefs' base defense against the run, guys, it's really good. It's really good. Jahmyr Gibbs was less than 4 yards a carry this Sunday night. The Chiefs' base defense against the run beats up the run. I know early in the season, 2 games in, it was a 5-alarm fire that Mike Pennell wasn't on the team anymore. And I love Mike Pennell, but the Chiefs don't miss him that bad. Like, they're really good against the run. They do good things against the run. And they're going to say, we're going to pack the box. We're going to dare Josh Allen to get the ball out to the perimeter to one of his wide receivers. And we're going to be physical with those guys. And we're going to tackle them. They catch the ball, we're going to tackle them. And if he tries some downfield shots, which they don't try a lot of in that offense because that's not really how Joe Brady gets down, their play caller, then we're going to shut that down. We're going to have safety help over the top. We're going to shut those down. That's the formula. The Falcons pulled it off. I think the Chiefs have a better defense than the Falcons, guys. It feels like the Chiefs are the team to beat in the AFC, even sitting here at 3-3. If the season ended after last night, the Chiefs would not be a playoff team. They wouldn't. They'd be out of the field. And yet, they feel like the team to beat for me. And I just feel like their closest competition right now, because if you don't have the quarterback to go beat Mahomes in the playoffs, you're not going to do it, right? You have to have the guy under center who's going to stand chest to chest with 15 in a big game. And really, it's only been 2 guys who've done that. And it's Burrow, who's got the win over him in the AFC title game, and it's Allen, who had that incredible game, and Mahomes was just that much better. And you know what happened in the overtime. You're smiling thinking about it, the 13 seconds game. So those are the only 2, right? And the Bills have one of those guys. They meet the requirements. They meet the criteria, as Isaiah Thomas says in that Last Dance documentary, the one about Michael Jordan. I met the criteria to be selected. The Bills meet the criteria, the most important criteria. They have the quarterback. But outside of Josh Allen, that's just not a super talented roster. It's aging. They don't have game changers on defense. The offensive line, it's good, but it's a little leaky. And this is the other thing that I wonder. And I wonder if this is impacting things in Baltimore as much as the injury catastrophes are impacting things in Baltimore. And I wonder if it's impacted things in Cincinnati over the last couple of years. And I wonder if this might be a year where it starts to impact things in Buffalo if things don't get a lot better after their bye, when they're on the bye here this next week. The mental toll of knowing you've had championship caliber football teams on the field and have not won a championship, or even, other than the Bengals, gotten to play for one because you can't get through 15 and you can't get through the Chiefs. And I think there's something there. I think that does take a toll on an organization where you feel like the standard is a standard that you are just this close and yet so far away from reaching as a team. That you're right there. You've got the quarterback. And again, if you're Buffalo, if you're Baltimore, if you're Cincinnati, you can say that. You've got the quarterback. The hardest thing to do is get the quarterback. Those franchises have it and have surrounded those quarterbacks with so much talent. There are all pros and Pro Bowl appearances out the ears, future Hall of Famers on some of those rosters. But no rings. No rings. Just the AFC Championship rings from the Bengals in 2021. That's it. And I do wonder if part of why some of these seasons in Baltimore and Cincinnati have gone down the drain like they have is that realization that this was a year for us. This was a year where we felt like we were loaded enough. This was a year where the Chiefs felt a little bit vulnerable, perhaps. Coming off the Super Bowl loss, we're going to go get those guys. And now it's 6 weeks in, and if you're Baltimore, you're not going to go get those guys. They showed that emphatically in week 3. Or week 4, rather. So I do wonder if that's a part of the equation and what's happening in the AFC right now. And I do wonder, I think this bye comes at a good time for the Bills because, like I said, they're going to regroup. I'd still take them to win that division. Still think they'll win 12, 13 games. They may end up with the number 1 seed if all's said and done. And then it's a scenario where the Chiefs might have to go to Orchard Park to play Josh Allen in an AFC championship game. But I see a really flawed team. And the Chiefs' flaws, like when they started the year, what were we worried about? Well, they don't have Rashee Rice. Well, they have him now. Pass rush hasn't been great. I mean, Chris Jones has been pretty darn good 2 of the last 3 games. Charles Menahue's starting to get going a little bit. Karlaftis has been applying pressure. Like I don't feel as bad about that group. Secondary without Justin Reed, that's not really a concern. Brian Cook's playing great football. Great football. And we're not talking about Jaden Hicks. That's good. That means he's not screwing up. That means he's taking care of business, getting all the ducks in a row. Offensive line, is that a concern for you right now? It's not a concern for me. Josh Simmons is playing great. Kingsley's getting better week over week. 3 weeks since the penalty for Jawan Taylor. Like, every year it feels like the Chiefs ultimately end up collecting all the Infinity Stones, and then they're Thanos in the playoffs. Well, I think they've already got the stones. What if they've already got them? What if there's nobody realistically to stand in their way? I know it's crazy to talk about a 3-3 team like this, but you've seen the games. You saw what they did to Baltimore. You saw what they did to Detroit. You see the vulnerability in some of these other contenders. And again, the second tier of teams, in the third tier, we'll talk about those teams here in a little bit. Do those teams have the juice? I think right now, you look at the AFC, you're putting a marker down on somebody. It's the 3-3, would not be in the playoffs if the season ended today, Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get your reaction. Again, the text line is open, 785-272-9429. Get at us in the YouTube comments as well. I do want to talk about some of those other would-be AFC contenders. Which one do you trust the most of the AFC's 4 upstarts? We'll talk about that next. We're just getting started on this Tuesday edition of 580 Sports Talk. 3:32 on 580 Sports Talk. We're just getting rolling on this Tuesday. Usually, you want to turn on the mic if you want what you say to go out over the air. That's helpful. That's a little pro tip for you aspiring radio hosts out there. You want to start a segment, you want to get the people lathered up, you want them to hear what you have to say, turn on your microphone first. A couple of reactions to the opening segment. Paul, in agreement with me in the YouTube comments, says, I feel like we saw the Ravens collectively hit the we're never going to beat these guys wall in week 4. I think I want to be careful and say that I'm sure a large part of the reason why the Ravens have been in the toilet the last 2 weeks is because Cooper Rush is their quarterback. But I've also seen Cooper Rush win some NFL games. I've seen it happen. I've seen some competence from Cooper Rush in an NFL uniform. I mean, nothing more to lift him out of the career backup realm, but, like, he's a career backup. The Ravens look miserable. Absolutely miserable out there. And I do wonder. Yeah, I think they took a mental that has taken a mental toll on them. Frankly, I'm not sure they recovered from the way they lost to Buffalo in the playoffs. I think that was scarring for them, having the normally reliable Mark Andrews drop that 2-point conversion. I think they brought that into the season a little bit, and it's affected them. Jeff, speaking to the unpredictable nature of the NFL, says, I just need to bet the opposite of whatever I think will happen in the NFL, and I'll be a millionaire. Hey, you and me both, Jeff. I feel you on that comment for sure. Vance will award 1,000 Sports Talk points to whoever can correctly name the logo on my hat today. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, you will see that I am wearing, and that's a legally binding offer, Vance. You have to dole out those points if anybody comes up with it. But you see the hat that I'm wearing. It should be a familiar one to any of our listeners down the turnpike, like all the way down the turnpike. That's a hint. But go check it out. And if you can comment in the YouTube chat what hat I'm wearing, Vance owes you Sports Talk points. Anyway, but back to the broader point about the unpredictability of the NFL. Again, we went into this year feeling like there was pretty clear separation between the Chiefs, the Bills, and the Ravens, and everybody else in the conference. To the point where I think if you, and I probably expressed a similar sentiment on the air at the time when we were winding up to the season, that you could give me those 3 teams and I'd give you the field as far as the AFC champion goes. And I do that with confidence. And then Cincinnati was, well, they have the quarterback, but do they have the defense? And now they don't have either of those things because Joe Burrow's hurt. Then you had Houston and the Chargers and the Broncos, all of whom were playoff teams last year. And the question there was, did they have more of a ceiling than just being cannon fodder in the playoffs? And I don't think that's the case for Houston. I think they've taken a step back. Their offensive line has gotten worse, and I don't know that they're going to win the South, and I don't know what more than one team out of the South is going to make the playoffs. So I think that's a team that's already very much in trouble. Denver's defense is really good. Bo Nix isn't winning you 4 games in January. Like, bottom line, there are some quarterbacks that you can look at and say, that guy, I'm not going to go win 4 games in January with that guy. You can get to January with that guy. They got to him with him last year. And they're better at running the ball this year. And I think they're a little better in the secondary than they were last year. Talanoa Hufanga is playing well. Patrick Surtain's still a stud. But I don't think Denver's ceiling is a whole lot higher than what we saw last year. I think they're about a 10-win team at the absolute best. That being said, you could correctly respond if you're a Broncos fan and say, well, gosh, they should be 5-1 and they could be 6-0. And I would respond and say, come on, be honest with yourself. Did you watch any of that game in London? Did you see how that looked against the Jets? Come on, be honest with yourself. And the Chargers are the one team that I think has raised their ceiling. It's year 2 under Jim Harbaugh, who, like, all-time great football coach, Jim Harbaugh. Let's be real honest about that. And I'll credit Justin Herbert starting to beat the can't do it in a close game allegations. Now, can he do it in a big game, a game that really matters? That remains to be seen. But he's delivering in the clutch, delivered the goods in the clutch. Well, Ladd McConkey breaking a tackle delivered the goods in the clutch in their win over the Dolphins on Sunday. But the Chargers are playing well. That's the best team out of those three. So I'm willing to consider the Chargers. I don't know if I consider them a Super Bowl contender, but they're certainly one of the best teams in the AFC. I don't have a problem saying that. The early surprises in the AFC are New England at 4-2 in the East, Indianapolis 5-1 leading the South, Jacksonville a game behind at 4-2, and Pittsburgh leading the North with a 4-1 record. Which of those teams do you believe in the most? I want to hear your answer. 785-272-9429. You drop in the YouTube chat as well if you know who or not if you know, but just if you have a strong feeling, which of those four teams, New England, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, and Pittsburgh, do you most trust that they are in this for the long haul and could win a game or two come January? For me, the answer is New England. And it's three reasons why I think I trust the Patriots more than I trust those other teams. Number one, Mike Vrabel has been there, done that. Really good coach. Tennessee let him go. Huge mistake. Should never have done that. Mike Vrabel, good coach. That's reason number one. Reason number two, phenomenally easy schedule. We ran through it yesterday. They really ought to get to like 7-2 before they play anybody good again. And even if they have a stumble, if they're sitting at 6-3, then they play somebody good, then they got two more games after that that are really winnable. Like there's a decent chance that they're sitting at 8-4, 12 weeks in. That'll be a playoff team. And the third reason I believe in them is because I believe in Drake May. I think of those four teams I just mentioned, May's the best quarterback of the bunch. And if you haven't seen him play, you should. And I have a feeling we're going to get to see him play a little bit more as we go along. The networks have not been falling all over themselves to show New England Patriots football, understandably so. But he outplayed Josh Allen 2 Sunday nights ago. He did. He was the better quarterback in that game in Buffalo. And I think he is an exciting talent. And he's making some wide receivers that are not particularly of a great draft pedigree or pro pedigree look really good. They can't run the ball a lick. That's a problem. That's why I don't think they're like a real threat come January. They cannot run the ball. But May's the real deal. And they got a coach who knows how, and they got an easy schedule. I believe that New England is in this for the long haul. Second on that list of who I trust the most out of that group is Indianapolis. Number one, they're killing teams. The wins they have are one-sided wins, except for the Cardinals. They let the Cardinals hang around a little bit, but they did end up pulling that game out. Number two, they have maybe the best running back in the NFL right now in Jonathan Taylor. So they can run the ball. You need that in January. And number three, I really like their coach. I think Shane Steichen is really good at this. And we saw him nearly get a Gardner Minshew quarterback team to the playoffs, and now he's got Daniel Jones playing some of the best football of his career. Now, you go look at the numbers. It's not like overwhelming football. There was a game early in the year where he put up some eye-popping numbers, and then against Denver, he had a monster game. But since then, the numbers have kind of settled down a little bit, come back down to earth a little bit for old Danny Dimes. But he's still playing well, taking good care of the football. So I think they're probably second most trustworthy to me. And if I had to lean toward a team to win the South right now, I think it would be them, which give them a home playoff game. Third on my list is Pittsburgh. And this is almost entirely a Mike Tomlin thing. He can end up with another non-losing season. He just keeps doing it. They just keep finding ways. They also do have game changers on defense. TJ Watt is a game changer. Nick Herbig is emerging on the other side of that defense as a game changer. He's been one of the best pass rushers in the NFL to start this season. So they've got that game-wrecking talent on the defensive side of the ball that, I don't think Indianapolis really has that. Jacksonville, we talked about. I don't think they really have that. Does New England have that? Christian Gonzalez is really, really good, but do they have a game changer on defense? They got some good players. All these teams have good players, but there's a difference between good players and a guy like TJ Watt, who's been a defensive player of the year. So they have those guys. And then the other reason that I trust Pittsburgh a little bit more than I trust Jacksonville is because late in the game, I know who's not going to mess up. I don't know how much Aaron Rodgers can go win a football game for me anymore, but I know he's not going to throw it to the other team. And I don't trust Trevor Lawrence not to throw the ball to the other team. I still think he's too mistake prone to really trust. So That's why I would trust. I would put them in that order for me. I would say New England, Indianapolis, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, or Pittsburgh, Jacksonville. That's how I would. That's how I would sort them out. I think. I mean, Pittsburgh might win the North by default. The two sweetest words in the English language. If you look at the betting odds, it's like a coin flip. Vegas is still believing that Baltimore can make a second half run. He might be right. Like Baltimore could still win that division at 9-8. Wouldn't surprise me. But I'm a little bit more inclined to believe that what I'm seeing from New England is real and sustainable than I am of any of those other teams. Take a break. We'll see what you think. Again, text line is 785-272-9429. You can hop into YouTube comments as well. We'll come back with a broader thought on NFL quarterbacks based on some of the Monday night action last night. Why it's really good for the league that the class of 2024 is playing like it is. We'll discuss next on 580 Sports Talk. Discussing the upstarts in the AFC, Joe has my favorite comment in the YouTube chat. He says, give me option E, none of the above when it comes to Colts, Patriots, Jags, or Steelers. I don't think either of those teams, any of those teams can win a Super Bowl in 2025. I don't. I still think the list of teams that can win a Super Bowl in the AFC is, I think it's the same as when we started the year. It's the Chiefs, it's the Bills, and it's a healthy Baltimore. Those are the teams. And we don't know if Baltimore's going to get healthy. They're already down some pretty important players for the long haul. And we don't know when Lamar Jackson's going to get back. Will it be in enough time to salvage the season? Buffalo, their highs are still very, very high, but their lows are lower this year because they continue to not have any playmaking presence on the outside at wide receiver. And so teams are just going to do what Atlanta did to them last night, pack the box and daring to make some plays downfield. And they don't have the personnel for that. And they're just not great on defense. Like, flat out, their defense got old and just not real effective. Maybe a little stale. You know, they haven't had, they've turned things over on offense a lot. Maybe that defense is feeling a little stale. It's a lot of the same guys. I don't know. I still think, again, that team can win a Super Bowl because of Josh Allen. That's how much respect I have for Allen and what he's capable of. But definitely some warts. Definitely some warts showing there. Paul's answer is Indianapolis. Says Daniel Jones making it work. Jonathan Taylor running like a madman. Tyler Warren looks legit. They do have solid wide receivers as well. Taylor's the one that really makes it work. Like that's a team where you are going to, again, try and load up the box, try to take away Jonathan Taylor. And that sets up a lot of the play action stuff and Jones on the move that he's always been, even going back to when he went to the playoffs with the Giants. That's where he's at his best. Because who did he have with the Giants? Saquon Barkley, peak of his powers. Like you pair Daniel Jones with an elite running back and he can make it work. It's a bit of a throwback in that way. We don't talk about quarterbacks like, oh, they got to have an elite top of the scale running back, and then you can make things work with them. That's just not how we talk about football in 2025. Mark in the YouTube comment says NFL feels like the NFL has more parity. That's why nobody is a favorite or feels like a dominant team right now. And I think that's 100% right as well. It really feels this year like there's just not that much separation between the top of the league and the bottom of the league. And that's how it feels through 6 weeks. I mean, I would still anticipate over the course of 17 weeks that there will be some cream that rises to the top. And by the time December rolls around, it'll be pretty clear to identify which teams have the best chance of making it all the way through to Super Bowl 60. But right now, yeah, things feel very packed tightly together. As Christopher points out, a team that lost to the Panthers 30-0 beat the Bills last night. It almost makes the whole thing seem random. Don't get too far down that rabbit hole, and then you'll start scratching your head and say, wait a minute, is this all random? Am I just wasting my time? Is this just a number generator that we use to create narratives? Yeah, it kind of is. It kind of is. Speaking of quarterbacks, Caleb Williams and the Bears beat Jaden Daniels. I'm going to keep doing that until JD6 has played his last game at KU. I'm just going to keep getting the two names confused, and I apologize for that. Caleb Williams beat Jaden Daniels last night. Bears beat the Commanders. It was a late turnover by Washington that let the Bears move into field goal range, kick the kick, win the game. Caleb Williams is the first Bears quarterback to have 200 passing yards and a touchdown in each of his first 5 games of the season. Ever. I remind you, the Bears have been around since 1920, and they never have a quarterback throw for 200 with a touchdown in the first 5 games of a season before. That is like staggering. If you haven't watched Williams, or you watched week 2 where they got pantsed by the Lions and you decide, out on the Bears, I think you might want to get back in a little bit on Caleb Williams and the Bears. He's playing some awesome football. And they're starting to look like a fully realized Ben Johnson offense. And Jaden Daniels made plays last night. We just talked about Drake May in the last segment. The quarterback class of 2024 arrived at such a good time for the NFL. Such a good time. The top 3 picks all look like long-term solutions for their respective franchises. We know that Bo Nix, who was the 6th one taken, at least has a wild card ceiling as a starter. Even if I don't think it's a whole lot higher, that's still a quarterback you can win some football games with. That's still, I think a long-term starter in the league. So even if J.J. McCarthy and Michael Penix don't work out, you still got 3 guys who look like they could enter the upper echelon at some point. And then a 4th who looks like a long-term starter in Nix. And that is going to replenish the quarterback reserves in this league in a way that the league has really needed. And when you add that into the stock pointing up for guys like Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones. You could almost put Spencer Rattler and Jackson Dart in this conversation. I mean, don't look now. Dart's passing numbers aren't overwhelming, but what he's being asked to do in that Brian Daboll offense, it's working. Like, some guys playing well. It's a lot more quarterbacks with the needle pointing up right now than there are pointing down. Like, maybe it's pointing down a little bit for, like, Tua or Geno Smith, who looks maybe completely washed. I think it's too early to say that about Cam Ward. I just think he's in a terrible situation. But if the standard of quarterback play is going up, that's so good for the league. And thank goodness for that quarterback class of 2024. And we got a chance to be talking about that class for a long time. A long time. Like, I don't know if it's going to be class of 83 good. It would take a lot of doing to be that good, right? But thank goodness for the class of 2024. Bringing the position back. It's going to be a little bit more fun to make a top 10 list of NFL quarterbacks next year rather than anguishing over whether Brock Purdy belongs in it. He doesn't. We'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll wrap up this 3 o'clock hour, 580 Sports Talk. Couple more thoughts from the YouTube chat. Again, the name of the YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, as we wrap up this first hour. Good chat so far today, guys. David in the chat, welcome in, David, says, Jaden Daniels and Caleb Williams officially a rivalry. I love it. When was the last time it felt like we had like a quarterback rivalry? Even not a rivalry, just a marquee matchup of quarterbacks, and it was 2 NFC teams. Like, are you getting torqued for Hurts versus Prescott? I mean, Eagles, Cowboys is a rivalry, but that's not a quarterback matchup. You go, oh, I got to watch that game. Like, and that's not to say that there haven't been good quarterbacks in the NFC over the last handful of years, but it's not to the level of, oh, it's Mahomes versus Allen, or it's Mahomes versus Jackson. Like, that's how you refer to the game. You don't say it's not Bills Chiefs, right? It's Mahomes versus Allen. And the NFC, I think, is overdue for one of those. And they might have one in Daniels and Williams. That's exciting. That's a great point by you, David. Thanks for being in the chat today. Also, Tyler coming in with a very controversial take. After years of rules manipulation, the best players to play the sport are all really good and can win any given Sunday. That is a bold claim. There are lots of good football players, not just like 3 or 4. There are many of them. And every team has some players who are good at the sport of football. Yeah, man. I actually, I unironically agree with that take. I think that that is certainly a consequence of, you call it rules manipulation, salary cap manipulation, roster building rules and regulations. That's 100% correct. But yeah, like a Falcons team with Bijan Robinson is as much worthy of watching as any of the teams that have been to Super Bowls in recent years. Great players are fun to watch. Bold take, I know. We're going to talk some KU hoops coming up next hour. Our KU insider, Michael Swain, will join us for Jayhawk Weekly. And we'll have What Is Wrong With You? That's all coming up on 580 Sports Talk. Let's get it. 580 Sports Talk, hour number 2 on this Tuesday afternoon. Thanks so much for being with us here on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW, FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube stream, 580 Sports Talk, the name of the channel, and on Facebook at WIBW News. Dan Lucero, Spencer Dupuis with you until 6 o'clock this evening. We've got a Jayhawk heavy hour number 2 here on the program. Michael Swain's going to join us at the bottom of this hour. Michael of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Plenty to discuss with Michael when he joins us here in about half an hour. We're going to talk about KU's loss to Texas Tech, what it exposed about the Jayhawks, what they need to do to regroup during their bye week as they come out of it ready for the Sunflower Showdown at the reimagined David Booth Kansas Memorial Stadium as K-State comes to town 2 Saturdays from today. Also talk about KU being ranked lower in the men's basketball AP preseason top 25 than they have been since the year after they won Bill Self's first national championship, all the way back in 2008.
They're also the lowest Big 12 team in there.
Well, I mean, 6th out of 6, yeah, but that's also 6th highest ranked out of 16 Big 12 teams.
Well, yeah, I meant, but the lowest Big 12 team in the top 25.
Yeah. And
is this a year after they were number 1?
Yes, they were preseason number 1 last year. That is true. And we're gonna come around and discuss that a little bit. What that represents as far as the expectations of Kansas basketball, whether it represents anything at all. We'll also have some What Is Wrong With You coming up later on the show. We got our headlines. We're going to do some random question on a Tuesday, as we always do. We're going to talk about Travis Kelce, how good he's been, particularly the last 2 weeks, but really all season long. Travis Kelce, again, it doesn't look like it used to, and that's how it goes for aging players. But this has been the best Travis Kelce's looked in 3 seasons, and the most productive he's been in 3 seasons. And we'll discuss why that is and in what regard he is maybe more productive than any other Chief so far. So we'll get into that coming up on the program. Want to hear from you? Text line is open. 785-272-9429 is the number. That is 785-272-9429. Can also interact with us in the live chat on the YouTube stream. We've had some great interactions so far. Looking forward to hearing from more of you. Again, the channel 580 Sports Talk on YouTube. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel today. All it costs you is a click or a tap on your screen, and you get notifications when we go live, not just for our show, but for our instant reaction videos and any other video content we put on the YouTube channel. 580 Sports Talk is the name of that channel on YouTube. How about another keyword for the Fall Cash Contest? We've got the Fall Cash Contest ongoing through the end of the week. Every hour, you get a keyword that you can go enter at 580WIBW.com. And when you enter the keyword and your information, it registers you for a chance to win $2,000. We're giving away $2,000 a weekday through the end of this week here on 580 WIBW, 580WIBW.com. But you need the keyword, and here is your keyword for this 4 o'clock hour. So if you heard any other keywords today, those don't work anymore. This is the keyword that works until 5 o'clock. And then the 5 o'clock hour, I'll give you another keyword, the last one of the day. And then whoever is in charge of drawing the names out of the big hat will draw the name out of the hat. And, I actually don't know how that works. I'm not privy to the process of selecting the winner. But a winner will be selected at the end of the day, and that winner will win $2,000. And maybe it'll be you. Yes, you, person listening to this. I hope it's you. Yes, you, person listening to this. But you need the keyword for this hour to enter at 580WIBW.com. So go click on the contest tab and enter movie. Movie, M-O-V-I-E. Movie is the keyword. M-O-V-I-E. Movie, as in, what's your favorite scary movie? Spencer, what's your favorite scary movie?
Not a big scary movie guy.
I'm not either. I don't have a favorite
Insidious, I guess. But also, if you want to watch one of the last movies being played at Topeka Westridge Theaters, you can, because Regal's closing.
Okay. breaking some news on the show?
Is that what we do? I saw it earlier today.
Okay.
Figured I'd let the public know.
Movie. I do not have a favorite scary movie myself. I do not do scared for recreation. I don't do haunted houses. I don't do scary movies. I don't begrudge anybody if that's what you enjoy, what you like to do. If you like to terrify yourself for recreation and leisure, by all means, be my guest. But that is not my get down. So
I'd like it, but Olivia doesn't. So then I've tended to stop watching.
So you've compromised and stopped watching them entirely.
Yeah.
That's long-term relationship right there. That's what that is.
I mean, I could go to watch Haunting in Connecticut like sometimes, maybe when she's out of town, I'll turn on a scary movie. But hey, for the most part, not watching scary movies these days.
Anyway, movie is your keyword for the fall cash contest this hour. Again, go enter at 580wibw.com. Texter shouts out Halloween and The Shining is their favorite scary movies. I've seen The Shining. Like, that's a different kind of, I guess what I should say is this. Like particularly like the slasher films, the gory scary movies, the ones where there's like lots of death, lots of blood, lots of like amputation of limbs, like things like that. I don't need the jump scares. Like, I don't mind a movie that'll like scare you, like it's a thriller that'll scare you.
Yeah.
But like the jump scares and the slasher flicks, that's I will 100% stay away from those. I don't need that in my life. But I mean, The Shining does have the hallway filled with the blood. So I mean, there's some gore in that one, but it's different. It's Kubrick. It's the 70s. It's a little different. I stayed in a hotel once. It looked like the hotel from The Shining, not the actual hotel from The Shining. That's somewhere in, I think, Telluride. It's in Colorado. I think it's in Telluride. I could be wrong on that, but it is in Colorado, the hotel where they shot the Shining. I have not stayed at that hotel. I stayed in a hotel that looked like the hotel from The Shining, and that's way worse. Like, you go to the hotel that they shot The Shining at, okay, yeah, oh wow, this is where the blood came out of the elevator or whatever it is, and now I'm so scared. Like, you go to a hotel not expecting this going to look like the one from The Shining, and it looks like the one from The Shining. You spend the whole night thinking, am I going to die?
Yeah.
Thank you to the texter who corrected me from the 785. It is in Estes Park. That's northern Colorado. I had the wrong end of the state.
You got multiple people that where it is.
Keeping me honest. And I should know this stuff. As a native Coloradan, I should know this stuff. More votes for David votes for Saw in the YouTube comments. Andrew says his favorite scary movie is Scary Movie.
Quite frankly, the last scary movie I saw, horror movie, I think was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake in 22.
Okay.
That's how long it's been. It's
been a long time.
2022.
Been a long time. Next time Olivia goes to one like a teacher happy hour or has conferences late, you go treat yourself.
Yeah.
Treat yourself to a scary movie. It's October. It's a good month for him. Anyway, I did want to talk some Kansas basketball. The Jayhawks, we mentioned in yesterday's headlines, the preseason AP poll was released. And they came in at 19th in the AP poll. There were 6 Big 12 teams ranked. Houston was number 2. BYU was 8th. Texas Tech was 10th. Arizona was 13th. Iowa State was 16th. And the Jayhawks were 19th. And as I mentioned, the last time KU was ranked that low in the preseason was before the 08-09 season. They were 24th in that poll. And all they did that year was go 14-2 in the Big 12, back when winning the Big 12 was every Jayhawks birthright. And they went to the Sweet 16 that year. So what I think is happening, because I look at this KU roster and I see a team that's better than the 19th best team in the country. If you wanted to tell me that Darren Peterson will be the best player in the Big 12 this season, I would be inclined to hear you out. Like, listen, JT Toppin at Texas Tech is a superstar, right? Like, he's an awesome player. I like what's the kid's name from Houston, the guard. Uzan, I thought was really good last year, and I think could improve. Typically, guards in a second year at Houston tend to improve. And I like JoJo Tugler a lot. Like, that's a good roster that Kelvin Sampson's got. Like, if I had a vote, And they haven't asked me yet. They haven't done the preseason media poll yet. I don't know if they'll do one for basketball. They didn't do one for football.
Yeah, I'm assuming they're not doing, because they did the coaches poll for women.
Well, they're doing a media poll for women, and they've never done one before.
Oh.
So they're going to, I would imagine that'll be released next week when they have media days. We'll have coverage from Big 12 basketball media days, by the way. I'll be there next Wednesday.
They're confusing me.
Yeah, they are.
The Big 12 is very much confusing me because Thursday we got the women's coaches poll.
Right.
And the women's first team.
Yeah, we got the preseason honors. I thought we'd see the men's preseason honors by now. We haven't seen them yet. We're seeing them.
Brendan and I are saying maybe Thursday. Maybe do it Thursday.
That's my best guess. But yeah, they don't. I was looking for where they would announce it, and I haven't seen any of that. But like, Houston's got a really good roster. BYU's got Dibansa and some really good players. Tech's got Toppin, who's just awesome. Arizona's always good. Iowa State's got Lipsy back, although he did get hurt in the offseason. He's probably going to be back he'll be back for any meaningful games. But, Iowa State loves to fatten up in their non-conference against Navajo Tech University and a bunch of schools that might not even really exist. But if you wanted to tell me Darren Peterson's the best player in the league, I'd listen. I'd listen to that argument.
Oh, yeah.
I would absolutely believe it. If he ended up winning Big 12 Player of the Year, would that surprise you? It wouldn't surprise me.
No.
So they've got that kind of guy out front on their roster. The rejoinder is, well, they had that guy the last 2 years too, and his name was Hunter Dickinson. Hunter Dickinson, I believe, was preseason Player of the Year last year, if I remember correctly. And KU was the number one team in the preseason last year. They did not end the season number one. They ended the season short of the second weekend of the NCAA tournament for the sixth time in the last 7 years. And it's fairer to say the fifth time in the last 6 NCAA tournaments. And I'll just do that from here on out. I'll go ahead and jump over 2020 when we're talking about KU's tournament record, because there wasn't a tournament, and everybody with eyes knows KU either wins the national championship or at least gets to the Final Four that year. They were that good. But 5 of the last 6 tournaments, Kansas has only seen or has missed the second weekend. The only exception is the title team in 2022. And I think it's more alarming for a program that will always be defined by what they do in March. I think it's more alarming about where KU has been the last 2 years, that they are 21-17 the last 2 seasons in the Big 12. Only 4 games over 500 in a league they used to run. And the league has gotten better, and the league has gotten deeper. And parity in college athletics is at a higher level. We talked about this regarding football on yesterday's show. We were talking about headlines. We're talking about the top 25, that pretty much any Power 4 team that decides, I want to be good at football, they can just go do it and go spend the money, find themselves a sugar daddy, lay out the money, buy the players, and be good. Because if Indiana can do it, anybody can do it. So you're seeing the same thing happen in basketball. Really, teams are just like the entire SEC decided about half a decade ago, man, we got piles of money laying around. We could build an extra water slide in the football facility, but what if we try to be good at some basketball? What do we get this basketball thing a shot? What do we give our basketball program some money and some resources? What then? Well, what then is the SEC's got the national champion in basketball right now, and a bunch of really, really good ascending programs over in the basketball realm. So there's more talent. There are more good teams. The era of one team going roughshod through a league year after year after year, KU fans, I hope you appreciated it, because that's never going to happen again. Simply just not going to happen again over that long of a stretch of time. But with that all being said, I don't look at this KU roster and see the 6th best team in the Big 12. What I think is more likely to have happened, and it will be interesting when we do get the preseason polls from the coaches and from the media, I guess we've seen a media poll with the AP, but we'll see what the coaches think, and I'll be really interested to see, because maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm overrating this roster, because I think really highly of Darren Peterson, and I think Flory Badunga can be one of the best big men in the country. And I think that the pieces on this roster fit in a way that has not been the case, has extremely not been the case. Let's be honest about the last 2 seasons of Kansas basketball. I think that the Jayhawks are victims of their own success in a way, but also victims of a little bit of voter fatigue. Because I think everybody has felt a little bit burnt by the Jayhawks the last 2 years.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
With the expectations being so high and so little payoff. Last two KU teams, and look, they didn't cheap out in the NIL space. Hunter Dickinson was very handsomely compensated to bring his talents to Lawrence and put up some good numbers and had some big games and didn't see the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. And that's back-to-back years that a preseason top-ranked team or a team that hit the heights of being ranked number one did not reach the second weekend. It did not only did not win the Big 12, didn't really factor in the Big 12 title race. So I think people have looked at that. The voters of the AP poll say, yeah, you're going to have to prove it to me, Bill Self. You're going to have to prove it to me with this roster. Because we had a lot of skin in the KU game the last couple of years with our preseason ranking of the Jayhawks, and you fell short. You fell well short. I think that this roster is better because I think it just makes more sense. We will look back, and I think we can start to do it. And we can be honest about what the Hunter Dickinson era of Kansas basketball was. It was two rosters that did not complement each other. You cannot, in modern basketball, play lineups where 3 out of the 5 guys on the court can't shoot. You can't. And like, obviously can't shoot is an exaggeration because every now and again, Dickinson would step back and knock down a 3. Or, KJ Adams had that little push shot in the lane he could make. And the famous stat about DeJuan Harris scoring double-figure points, KU won a bunch of games in a row. They were unbeaten until well into his senior year in games where he scored in double digits. But you can't play 3 non-scorers on the floor together and non-shooters. There was no space. There was no flow. There was no rhythm. They weren't athletic enough to do much damage in transition. They weren't deep. They didn't have 3-point shooters. All areas of deficiency that it feels like the Jayhawks and Bill Self addressed with their additions this year. They've got length and athleticism. They've got shooting. But most importantly, they've got guys who are going to play to a role and a team with an identity built around a star. That was not the case for Kansas the last years. They had a star. They had one of the most well-known college basketball players in the country. They had a star, but they were not constructed evenly around that star. They feel a lot more constructed evenly around Darren Peterson. And if he is who Bill Self thinks he is, if he is who the recruiting hype has made him out to be, and at this point, there's no reason to believe he's not. We'll see what happens when the rubber meets the road. But there's no reason to think he should not at least be one of the very best freshmen in the country in 2025-26. If he's one of the best players in the country, full stop, Kansas will be in the Big 12 mix. They'll be in the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. They'll have a chance to go further than that. Because you know what will take a team beyond its capabilities? A coach like Bill Self. Because I'm telling you this. That Kansas roster with any other coach, I think those Kansas rosters could have missed the NCAA tournament. I think Bill Self is one of only a handful of coaches that could make it shake when you're playing 3 guys that do not fit with each other and playing them 35 minutes a night. Playing them because you can't imagine the alternative of not playing those guys. Because they did enough things well that you had to keep them on the floor, but offensively it was a mess. Bill Self made it work. I think those teams missed the playoffs in different hands. Or the NCAA tournament potentially in different hands. But I'm excited to see what they look like this year. I'm excited to see how different, how much more energy. They're just going to, it was only 2 years. You don't think a team has a chance to grow stale, but it felt stale and it felt dysfunctional and it wasn't an enjoyable watch last season. I think it's going to be a lot more fun edition of KU basketball. And if you're underrating them at this stage, if you're telling me they're the 6th best team in the Big 12, I personally will take the over. We'll take a timeout. We'll ask Michael Swain, what he makes of all of this when he joins us in about 10 minutes for Jayhawk Weekly. But when we come back, it's another round of What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. It's What Is Wrong With You time on 580 Sports Talk. Two new stories competing today to try to take down our Monday winner. Pimento cheese and a whole lot of whiskey, we called the guy. All we had was an X post from the Texas A&M police to go on that a gentleman was eating a pimento cheese sandwich and had a water jug full of whiskey. I'm assuming, like, I'm picturing one of those Coleman jugs. Like, if you ever played, like, youth sports, youth baseball in particular, like, that's what I remember. You had one of those big, like, bigger than a thermos, like, cylindrical, and they had a handle. You filled that sucker up before you left home. You carried it by the handle.
That's a lot of whiskey.
That would be so much whiskey,
That'd be like a few bottles of whiskey.
I don't know if it would be a few bottles. It might be like a bottle, like 750 milliliter bottle. Like, it could be a full one of those at least. But his blood alcohol content, speaking of mostly whiskey, this guy was mostly whiskey.
Yes.
His blood alcohol content was 0.337, and he was taken immediately to the hospital. So that's our current champion here for the week on What Is Wrong With You. I will go first today. We are going to Hudson County, New Jersey, and a Marshall's. You familiar with a Marshall's?
Yes.
Yeah, like a Ross or a TJ Maxx. Very similar.
I think they're all, or like two of them are owned by the same company.
I think you're right about that. The Marshalls was what we had. That was what we had close when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Growing up. We had Marshalls. I don't think we had even a TJ Maxx. We may have. I don't know. But we had Marshalls. Anyway, yeah, Marshalls very similar. If you've been to a Ross, you've been to a TJ Maxx, you kind of know what a Marshalls is. They got everything, including knives. And a woman who was upset at a customer taking too long in the line, bought some knives, and stabbed the shopper with one of them multiple times in front of her family. The incident started around 6:15 p.m. Saturday. 25-year-old Amber Thompson of Newark got in an argument with another customer over the speed of the checkout line. As the victim and her family left the store and went towards their car, Thompson allegedly purchased a set of kitchen knives. She then removed one from the box, pursued the victim in the parking lot, and stabbed her multiple times. The victim was taken from the parking lot to a nearby injuries that did not appear life-threatening. Thompson was located in the marshal's bathroom, hiding from the police, with a kitchen knife laying atop the baby changing station. She was charged with second-degree aggravated assault, third and fourth-degree weapons offenses, and fourth-degree endangering, and is being held at the Hudson County Jail. So she had a chance to think it over, right? Like, at any point during the process of making a purchase, because that's not something like they don't have self-checkout at these places. Yeah. You're handing it to somebody, they are ringing it up. You gotta.
Chances are you're waiting in a line too.
You gotta scan your card. So what I'm guessing happened is this woman and Amber here were in their argument, and they were right next to each other in line. The woman checked out and left, and then Amber was like next in line. Is probably what happened. But she had a chance to think this over at every turn. Do I need these knives? Do I need to take one out of the package? Do I need to follow this woman? Like there was ample opportunity for cooler heads to prevail. No, cooler heads did not prevail. She followed that woman out to the parking lot and did what we have all agreed. Every time we have a stabbing story on What Is Wrong With You, when Jake LeBon was hosting this show, he would always remark, stabbing is so personal. And it is. It's the most personal crime. You got to be right up on them, in there, looking them in the eye while you're cutting them up, poking them up. Like, you had so many opportunities to just think, you know what? Maybe this isn't a big deal. Maybe I don't need to escalate this while you're scanning your card, or you're signing the little kiosk, or you're asking, do you want a receipt or do you want one emailed to you? Would you like to get a Marshall's card today? All of these things. At any time, she could have had cooler heads prevail. Her cooler head never arrived. She just said, all right, well, I'm buying these knives. I'm going to go put them to the test. Poke up this woman in front of her family. Hopefully the woman is all right. Sounds like the injuries are not life-threatening. Thank goodness for that. Obviously, if they were, this would not be a What Is Wrong With You.
Yeah.
So that's my story today. What have you got?
We're going to go to Florida. A former strip club employee has been arrested for what they're calling a drive-by shooting, but there's a little more to that. Outside the Florida establishment, investigators allege that Jordan Cotto, 26, showed up Friday night at Atlantis Gentlemen's Club to, quote, speak with management, but got into a verbal argument. During the dispute, he allegedly grabbed a cheeseburger from his vehicle and threw the delicacy, striking a male victim on the shoulder, causing him, quote, bodily harm. The man, however, was not seriously injured by the beef and cheese.
Bodily harm? Come on, man. Even if he threw that cheeseburger, like, whipped it like a Randy Johnson fastball out of his car, there's no way bodily harm occurred.
Yeah, he was questioned by police. He confessed to doing it. Showed no remorse.
In the eye? What happened?
So he was questioned, showed no remorse, said he'd do it again. No weapon was seized, police say. He was arrested for battery, a misdemeanor, booked in a county jail. He was released the other day on his own recognizances by a judge who ordered him to have no contact with the victim. He was arrested last month, too, for burglarizing his uncle's boat and stealing a fire alarm, which he sold to a relative for $300. So I assume he wanted to speak with management about money maybe he was owed. I don't know.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
All I know is, man, you bought that burger to eat. You got to be so mad to throw food.
The burger hurler.
You got to be really mad to throw food. So, okay, we got the burger hurler, and we've got Paul, the YouTube comment says, talk about cutting in line. That might tip it towards the Marshall stabbing to me, because these are both really funny stories. Not funny, but you get the funny for What Is Wrong With You. These are both good stories. I just like yours is so impulsive, and that woman had opportunities to quiet her impulses and still went forward with chasing that woman out to the parking lot and stabbing her repeatedly with some Marshall's kitchen knives. That's wild to me. I don't
Yeah.
think. Do you think either of these beats the whiskey story?
I don't think so.
Blood alcohol content would have won the American League batting championship this year.
That dude might win the year.
He definitely wins.
And it's also like the simplest story ever.
It's the BAC of the year, that's for sure. That continues on here on What Is Wrong With You. We'll take a timeout, come back with Michael Swain of Fog.net for Jayhawk Weekly on 580 Sports Talk. We are joined on the Playing Place Wine and Spirits hotline by Michael Swain of Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Michael covers all things Jayhawks over at Fog.net. And if you are a VIP subscriber at 24/7 Sports, you get access to all of Michael's in-depth reporting and inside information. Michael, we're going to start with basketball today, actually, because we were just talking about the preseason AP men's basketball top 25. KU coming in at number 19, their lowest preseason ranking in 17 years. Is it a fair reflection of the roster and the talent on hand in Lawrence, or do you think there's a bit of voter fatigue with KU having disappointed after lofty preseason rankings each of the last 2 years at play here?
Yeah, I don't know about voter fatigue. I think a lot of it is perception. And over the last 2 years, KU has underperformed. And I think if you were to look at like the Ken Palm stuff, obviously KU is in a pretty similar spot there at number 21. So it's one of those where if you look at like, some of the advanced analytics that project the roster based on looking at what some of the transfers have done at their past stops, projecting what kind of the recruits are going to do if they play to their ranking, it's in line with what the numbers are saying, what the AP poll showed. So hard to be super surprised about it. I think it's honestly a pretty fair start. I thought they'd be kind of mid-high teens. I think you could argue for them maybe being a little higher. But look, there are a lot more, I think, known commodities in terms of teams in college basketball than KU. Now look, this schedule is pretty crazy. Obviously, it got finalized today, but KU could very easily find itself in the top 10 with a very good November. So it's one of these situations where for KU, all that mattered was not being number one, because that's not gone well recently. And outside of that, I don't really think it matters a whole lot, really, because I think everyone's kind of working off the same data points right now, and there's not a lot of actual things to go off of watching this team play.
You mentioned that the schedule has been finalized with tip-off times and everything today. That happening for, I think, all of the Big 12 teams. And one thing that stands out about the schedule is the distribution of the networks. There are games on Fox and FS1. There are games on Peacock in conference play this season for Kansas basketball. Are you of the mind that that's good or bad? Good for the sake of more networks, more exposure, bad in the sense that it gets harder for fans to find where it is that they can watch their favorite team play?
Yeah, it's one of those where what way do you want me to look at this from, right? If you want me to look at this from we're in an era where you got to maximize revenue, you got to maximize
This call will be recorded.
Exposure. It's one of those situations where
This
for
call
KU
is
at
no
least,
longer
I
being
think,
recorded.
man, getting as many TV channels as you can, getting in front of as many eyeballs as you can, even if you're one of the best brands in college basketball, it's still important. So that's one part. On the other hand, it sucks for fans. Like, if you want to go look at it right now, you got to have you got to be able to have CBS. You got to make sure you have ABC. You got to have ESPN. You got to have ESPN Plus for all the non-conference games. Then you have to have Peacock for 2 months because the way the games are spaced out. And I'm forgetting one, FS1. Like, it's just a lot of and TNT. Sorry, can't forget TNT for the Players era. Like, it's just one of these where there's so many right now. And especially if you look at as YouTube TV, right, which used to be a cheap option, has now become a very expensive option. It's one of those things where getting this stuff isn't cheap. And I understand for fans how if they feel like, man, I am getting nickeled and dimed every single way I look and turn, I understand the frustration there 100%. And it's totally well-based. But it's one of those two where, on the other hand, I think KU and Big 12 would say, hey, look, we're getting more eyeballs, right? Kansas is playing games on Fox, more games on Fox than they are on ABC. Getting on that type of big channel is important, and it gets you out there more than it would be playing that game on an ESPN. So it's one of those brand exposure-wise, it's good. But, yeah, for fans, man, it sucks.
Michael Swain of Fog.net is our guest, joining us on the Floating Place Wine and Spirit Hotline for Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk. All right, we put it off a little bit, but we have to talk about the unpleasantness in Lubbock on Saturday. Texas Tech 42, KU 17, and that felt to me as simple as this. Texas Tech has $28 million of NIL money on the field, and it looks the part right now. That felt more like a game to me that was about how good Texas Tech is than anything about Kansas. I think they are proving on a week-over-week basis that they're kind of a cut above the rest of the Big 12 right now.
Yeah, they are. And they are really good at spots where KU has its weaknesses, right? You look offensively for KU, the weakness is not at quarterback or wide receiver or tight end. The weakness is the offensive line. And what did Texas Tech have? Two of the best defensive ends in the country, regardless of what team and or conference they play in. And man, they played great. And KU had the worst pass blocking performance since that Oklahoma game in 2020 when Jalen was sacked 9 times. You have to have talent to really do that and to take advantage of a KU offensive line that has done a good job of not allowing sacks and not allowing, kind of that end product, if you will, on pass rush. So there's that. Then on the other side, right, you look at Texas Tech's offense, and they just took advantage of KU being out of its gaps a couple times defensively. Or if you look at some of some of the down stuff, especially in the second half, like KU played better, but there were still a couple of those big explosive runs that are just backbreakers. And so for KU, it's one of those where I think parts of the performance are concerning, right? That you can look at defense and it's another guy out of position consistently. That's not ideal. You can look at it offensively and say, man, KU's had its struggles protecting Jalen at times this year, but the fact that in the second half they couldn't get anything going, like that's concerning because then you look at the second half against UCF and KU didn't do anything outside of a touchdown drive where they got it inside the 10 to start. So you can look at this game and say, yeah, Texas Tech is so talented. And if Texas Tech and Missouri played, for example, that'd be a great game and one I'd love to watch because I think it'd be a 4-quarter ball game. But on the other hand, if you want to look at this and say, man, there are some issues for KU that have come up now kind of consistently over the last kind of 4 games, and you want to say you're concerned about that, I will say 100%. I totally get it. And it's something KU has to address during the bye week.
What is the biggest concern moving forward following the bye week, the rest of the season laid out in front of KU? What is, to your mind, maybe the biggest flashing red light of danger for this KU team?
Yeah, they've just got to be more consistent defensively. Like, it's such a huge issue where, you can look at all the fronts they use and being creative and doing all this different stuff. Like, that's all great in theory, but then if you're doing all this creative stuff and guys are just out of position all the time, it doesn't matter. And that's been one of the things where looking back at that UCF game and then looking back at the Texas Tech game, like, you can tell when KU is in the right spots because stuff gets it's stopped. It's stuffed. And KU does a really good job of especially stopping the run. And then all of a sudden, it's easy to tell when guys start getting out of kilter because there are big gaps, right? And that is something KU has to fix, right? They can't allow teams with a pulse to put up 500 yards every single time they play. And that's what's happened this year. You look at Missouri putting up almost 600 yards. You look at Cincinnati putting up 600 yards. You look at Texas Tech putting up 500. KU's done that 3 times this year where they've allowed 500-plus yards. And last year they did that twice, and the year before they did that twice. So KU's already done more of that this year than they have in years past. So it's just a concern. And so they've got to figure that out because offensively, like, you just got to trust that Jalen's going to put KU in a position if they can have a blended attack and not have it be a game where you're on the back foot the entire time, that Jalen's going to have you in a position to be in the ball game late on. And so KU just has to figure out this defensive stuff.
Michael Swain joining us, talking all things KU on Jayhawk Weekly here on 580 Sports Talk. Michael covers the Jayhawks at fog.net. Like I mentioned when we started a discussion of this Tech KU game, that's $28 million worth of NIL money on the field for Tech, and it looks like it. And I think that the broader lesson that the Big 12 is going to take away from this season is that you better get your weight up if you want to compete with what it looks like Cody Campbell at Texas Tech is going to be able to put on the field money-wise moving forward. How prepared, how adept will KU be at being able to match, or maybe match isn't quite right, but to be able to spend competitively in the NIL space in football, especially given how important we know basketball is to the university? How adept will KU be, do you think, moving forward at making sure they can get some ample NIL resources out on the football field?
So I think a lot of it depends on how the new rules are enforced. Do things go to the book? And if they are to the book, a $20 million roster is not going to happen because Texas Tech will be restricted to the revenue sharing amount that they have. And then everything else outside of that, that's more than $600, has to then be cleared for whatever fair market value and all that stuff. Well, the thing about that is unless you have high-end players, i.e. guys that are forward-facing, can be faces of your program like a Jalen Daniels, it's going to be hard to get some of those guys the sums of money that they're getting right now. And so that's if things are by the book. If it's not by the book, it's going to be an issue for KU, big time, because the NIL money then factoring in addition to the revenue sharing money, that's when things get pretty hairy. So, look, I think if you're looking at KU and you're saying Texas Tech, is going to spend 75% of its budget on football, KU's not going to be at that number because basketball is going to have one of the biggest revenue sharing budgets of any program in the country. And therefore, that takes a larger chunk of the pie from KU football. So for KU, it's really just going to be about, can you find some of the kind of the quote-unquote bargains, i.e. guys like a Leroy Harris or an Austin Booker, right? Guys that maybe didn't have a ton of production at their last school, but have the traits and you believe in the development that they could show. And then KU's got to hit on whatever splashes they try and make. Manuel Henderson, big splash, really good addition for KU, and it's worked out. They've got to make sure there are more of those because KU's just not going to be able to go out and field the Texas Tech or school football forward for the state. Um, Terrible basketball programs that are not going to put any money into that and have decent football programs. Those schools are going to put a lot more money in their football team. And so that's going to be tougher for KU to compete. So they're going to have to find ways to win on the margins in terms of roster construction. And so it's going to be a challenge. It's something that KU's going to have to deal with. And it's as simple as that. They're just going to have to deal with it and find their way around it and really maximize what they have.
Last thing for you, Michael. We'll end on a good note for KU on the football recruiting trail. KD Jones out of Jenks, Oklahoma, committing to the program last week. It gives the Jayhawks 2 running backs in the recruiting cycle, and it looks like they could be really, really excited about both of those gets to add to that running back room. Yeah,
obviously Corey Mockery's been in the class for a while. Kid out of Michigan, who's a Michigan State legacy, who KU got over Michigan State. So you look at these two kids, some big recruiting wins. You know, KD Jones had over 20 offers. Most of them are Power 4, several SEC offers. Man, if you missed it, he had an incredible performance on I think it was Thursday night. I mean, what was it, over 500 all-purpose yards, 8 touchdowns. Like, he had a great game. So, look, guys to be excited about. KU continues to recruit well on the high school front in 2026, which obviously is going to be really important going forward because, again, like I said, for KU, they got to hit on the high school valuations because those are the players that typically you can retain for a little bit less than it is to, quote-unquote, acquire through the portal.
Michael Swain covers all things KU for Fog.net, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. And if you're a VIP subscriber, you can get even more in-depth info and inside info on the program from Michael. He joins us every Tuesday here on 580 Sports Talk for Jayhawk Weekly. Michael, always a pleasure. We'll do it again next week.
Awesome. Sounds good. Talk to you next week.
That is Michael Swain. We'll step aside for a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up this 4 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. Our thanks to Michael Swain once again for joining us for another edition of Jayhawk Weekly. Great stuff from Michael as always. Again, KU football off this week before the Sunflower Showdown next Saturday, an 11 a.m. kick between the Jayhawks and the Wildcats, who are also off this week. Both the Jayhawks and the Wildcats had tip-off times and TV times announced today. We're going to get to those in headlines, but suffice it to say, you are going to need your channel guide handy to find your favorite team, especially if you're a K-State basketball fan, because the number
all over the place,
the number of networks, the number of TV locations that will have K-State basketball games next season, numbers in the double digits, which is incredible to think about. Remember when it was just like ESPN or ESPN2 or local TV, or hey, maybe it wasn't on at all. Tough break. You could pay-per-view it. You used to have the pay-per-view options for some of those non-league games. Football, I know for sure you used to pay-per-view it. But it's better than not have. It's good that all the games are on. It's good that you can watch all the games. But I've got a longer thought on that that we're going to get to in our headlines. Also going to do a playoff roundup. And in the next hour, I'm going to talk about Travis Kelce, because I feel like we're talking a lot about Travis Kelce off the field. But we need to be talking about Travis Kelce on the field, because he has gotten off to a start that suggests that he came back with plenty left in the tank. He's playing as well as he has in 3 years. And in one regard, as well as anybody in the league. We'll talk about that. And we'll do some random questions as well. That's all coming up in the 5 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk here on WIBW. Let's get it. Hour number 3, 580 Sports Talk on a Tuesday afternoon/evening. Thanks for hanging out with us on the Sports Voice of Kansas, 580 WIBW FM 104.9, online at 580WIBW.com, and in living color on our YouTube channel, 580 Sports Talk, and our Facebook page, WIBW News. I'm Dan Lucero. Spencer Dupuis is across the glass. We're so glad you're hanging out with us, spending some time. You are. I
don't know why I said that.
I just you wanted to say hi. That's fine. That's fine. You got a hot mic. You got a microphone you can turn on and off and use at your leisure. You want to say hi to the people? Say hi to the people. You are more than welcome to do that. You just want to, maybe we take it for granted a little bit because we do. Like one of the screens I usually have up in front of me, it has the video stream. So a lot of times, I take it for granted. Like, oh yeah, I'm monologuing here, but people know Spencer's hanging out. Well, maybe if you can't see it, maybe you don't know. Maybe Spencer wanted to just let the people know he was still hanging out with us on this 5 o'clock hour of 580 Sports Talk. So we appreciate you being here with us here in this 5 o'clock hour. We're going to talk some Chiefs. Travis Kelce's been really good, and I feel like it's been under the radar a little bit, but he's been really good. Like throwing it back, not quite like to prime Travis Kelce, but this is the best he's been since 2022. And we'll talk about in what ways in particular Kelce has been that good. Plus, we'll do a little random question Tuesday because it's Tuesday and we ask each other random questions on a Tuesday. If you want to submit a random question to us, by all means, 785-272-9429 on the text line or in the YouTube chat. I guess it is time to reveal, mention this in the 3 o'clock hour. Vance wanted to know what the hat was that I was wearing today. Nobody stepped forward to collect the 1,000 Sports Talk points, which are not real things. But I'm wearing a Wichita Wind Surge hat today. You see.
So we're both repping the Sunflower State today.
Yeah, you got a KU hat going.
Yeah.
I've got I've got my Wichita Wind Surge. It's the alternate logo. So they released this when they released the name of the team. Gosh, I can't remember. 2019, I think, when they were going to move the team and they named the team and they released the merch, and the alternate logo it's the Wichita flag with a baseball inside like a home plate on a red background. Describing theater of the mind here for those who aren't watching the video. But anyway, it's the Wichita Wind Surge. It's the alternate branding. And I saw it on social media and I said something like, man, I got to cop one of those hats like immediately. And a name that folks who are in Topeka and follow local media in Topeka will remember. Chris Lilly, who used to be the sports director at WIBW TV and then worked for K-Witch. I think he was in Wichita for a spell. I think it was K-Witch. I don't remember which station. He's out of the media game now, but Chris used to be the sports director at WIBW TV, and he was down in he had moved down to Wichita, but we'd stayed in contact. So he was working at whatever Wichita station was. Maybe it was Cake. It was Cake. I think it was Cake. Anyway, he went and picked up one of the hats for me. And I paid him back. Happy to pay him back. But Chris Lilly with the assist on this one. So
you couldn't buy it online?
I don't think I could, honestly. I don't think there was an online, or actually shipping was like $15. That's what it was. I remember the shipping was particularly onerous. And I'm like, I don't want to pay $15 shipping. So
that gets you. I could go on a rant all about shipping.
I think a lot of people could. Yeah, shipping costs are kind of frustrating. That's why people do the Amazon Prime thing, right? You don't pay for the or my wife will always buy enough to get the free shipping. Like, you may as well buy something else or a couple of somethings else to avoid the paying for shipping. It's the principle of the thing, damn it. Anyway, so that's what the hat is. But again, appreciate everybody joining us in the live chat on YouTube. Again, 580 Sports Talk's the name of the chat. It's been a really good chat today. Very lively, lots of good comments, lots of faces old and new. Appreciate seeing you guys on the live chat today. I appreciate you so much. I wish you could all have $2,000. I do. I wish I could give you all personally $2,000. I can't.
That would mean we got $2,000.
I cannot do that. But We're giving away $2,000 today over at our website, 580wibw.com. That's 580wibw.com. There's a contest link at the top of the page. You click that link, you can enter the keyword of the hour, and that will register you for a chance to win. We've been giving you keywords all day. Gave you keywords the last 2 hours here live on 580 Sports Talk. And we've got one more keyword for this Tuesday to give you that you go enter at 580wibw.com. Think of it as your raffle ticket for the hour. And it enters you in the drawing for the chance to win $2,000. The 5 o'clock keyword for today is party. 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 Party in the USA. Party Rock is in the house tonight. It's a dead man's party. Who could ask for more? That's a more seasonally appropriate one. Who is that? Is that Crowded House? Who did Dead Man's Party? That's a little before your time. Dead Man's Party. Oingo Boingo. That's who it is. Yeah, a little ahead of your time. Shout out to Oingo Boingo. Great band name. Anyway, party. Party. Party is your keyword for the hour. Go enter at 580wibw.com. Click the contest link. Enter that keyword party. And hopefully you can throw a good party with $2,000. Or you just keep it to yourself. Whatever you want to do with it. It'll be yours if you win. We're giving away $2,000 today, 580wibw.com. Let's do some headlines, shall we? We'll start this hour with some headlines. We will begin with the full schedule releases for K-State and KU men's basketball. Now, I'm not going to sit here and read you the exact tip-off times and TV stations for every last game. You're going to have to go and look up, for instance, when KU plays Texas A&M Corpus Christi and what channel that game's going to be on. I'm not going to do that for you.
Probably ESPN Plus.
But I'll give you the marquee games, times, and the TV channels for those. KU's game at North Carolina. That's a Friday night, November 7th. That's going to be a 6 o'clock ESPN game. Duke will be an 8 o'clock tip at the Champions Classic, also on ESPN, November 18th at Madison Square Garden. Both games, or all three games in the Players Era multi-team event, Thanksgiving week, will be on TNT from Las Vegas. And KU will play Notre Dame Monday, November 24th at 2:30 Central, and Syracuse also at 2:30 Central on Tuesday. And their game Wednesday will depend on how they do on Monday and Tuesday. Border War will be a noon tip-off from the T-Mobile Center on December 7th. That is a Sunday, a noon tip-off. That game will be broadcast on ESPN2.
Hold on. I was going to say, they're not saying UConn's a prestigious game?
I skipped over the UConn game. It got sandwiched in there between the Players Era and Mizzou. My eyes went right to Mizzou. Mizzou's the bigger game. Mizzou's the bigger game because it's a rivalry. But UConn obviously is a pretty big game, too. They're number 3 in the country in the preseason poll. They're coming to Allen Fieldhouse. It's Tuesday night, December 2nd, 8 p.m. ESPN. The conference opener for Kansas, Saturday, January 3rd, at UCF, 1 p.m. on the Cock. Peacock will stream exclusively some Big 12 basketball games this year, and you will need a Peacock subscription to watch KU at UCF and KU at Oklahoma State on February 18th. Jayhawks will also appear on ESPN Plus a bunch of times, mostly their non-conference games. Looks like none.
I don't think they have any conference games on the Plus.
None of their conference games are on the Plus. Only one of the K-State conference games is on the Plus. Instead, you're going to have to do some channel hunting. There are some games that haven't had a network picked yet, like KU at West Virginia, January 10th. That'll either be on Fox or FS1. There are some that are either going to be ESPN or ESPN2. We're doing 6-day selections for basketball now. Fun, delightful. Some of the other marquee games on the schedule for KU. Their game against Iowa State is a Tuesday night. That's an 8 p.m. tip at Allen Fieldhouse on January 13th. Friday night against Baylor. That's going to be a Fox game. Big Fox.
Big Fox, big Friday night.
Is that what they're calling it?
I don't know. I mean, remember we had our guy Fitz tell us that Big 12 was going to get into that Friday night Fox package.
Yeah, that's part of that. So yeah, the home game against Baylor, January 16th, 7 p.m. on Fox. The first Sunflower Showdown in Bramlage, also on Big Fox. That's Saturday, January 24th, a 7 p.m. tip-off for that one. BYU's visit to Allen Fieldhouse is the following Saturday, January 31st. It'll be a 3 o'clock tip on ESPN. The big Monday games are back-to-back Mondays for the Jayhawks. February 2nd at Texas Tech, February 9th at home against Arizona. Those are, of course, late tips on ESPN, 8 p.m. Game at Iowa State is a noon tip on ABC, February 14th. And the finale, the home finale, is the second of the Sunflower Showdowns, March 7th, K-State, 1 p.m. on CBS. So that's the KU schedule. K-State, you can catch their conference opener on CBS January 3rd when they take on the Cougars of BYU at Bramlage Coliseum. 12:30 p.m. Saturday, January 3rd, BYU, K-State on CBS. Conference games this season for Kansas State will also appear on FS1. Peacock, there are 3 games for the Cats. The Cats are on the Cock 3 times.
In conference play or 2?
In conference play.
So then that means they're on the Cock 5 times.
5
total.
times. Cats on the Cock 5 times.
Because they're on
The Hall of Fame Classic is on the Cock exclusively. Those are the games. It's a running bit on the golf podcast, No Laying Up, because Peacock is NBC's streaming service. NBC shows a lot of golf. So when they refer to events that are being streamed on Peacock, they refer to it as the Cock. It's a running joke on the podcast. I'm not quite as sure we can get away with the running joke, but I'm running with it. And I apologize if your toes are curling or you're getting hair stand up on the back of your neck.
We're referring to the streaming platform Peacock.
Yes, we are.
It
By its shortened name.
Shortened name.
So you get
I don't know who would be offended and why.
You get the Hawks on the Cock twice and Cats on the Cock 5 times. The other Peacock games I mentioned, the Hall of Fame Classic, November 20th and 21st, their first game against Mississippi State. Then they'll play either Nebraska or New Mexico. Their games at Arizona State, January 10th, home to UCF, January 14th, and at Houston, February 14th. I think that's the Big 12 saying, man, K-State goes to Houston every year and loses by like 1 billion points. Let's not put that on linear TV.
I do have a question.
That
I
game
don't know if this is
will be on Peacock as well.
I don't know if this is a miss thing, but their Sunday, February 1st game against Iowa State at Bramlage has no TV network. I don't know if that's a miss.
Well, Iowa State? No, that's Big Fox.
Oh.
Yeah. Iowa State, February 1st. That's a home game, 1 p.m., Big Fox. KU, as I mentioned, at home, January 24th, Saturday night, 7 p.m. That's Big Fox. At Texas Tech, February 21st, a Saturday. K-State at Texas Tech. That is on Big Fox. At KU on CBS. That's that and the BYU. So the opening and closing conference games for K-State are both on Big CBS. Also, a couple of CBS Sports Network games at Oklahoma State, home to Utah and home to Cincinnati are on CBS Sports Network. At Colorado is an FS1 game on February 25th. At Arizona is an FS1 game. I say all that to say this. You got to have your channel guide handy if you want to watch your favorite basketball team. And we talked about this with Michael Swain in the last hour. I understand that these networks and these streaming services pay money to the conferences for the rights to broadcast these games. And I assume it is a not insignificant chunk of change that the schools all share, and they're happy to have that money, and they're happy to have the exposure because, again, the alternative is these games are on not at all, right? Like that.
They're on the plus.
That's the way, well, even before that, like the way it used to be is like sometimes you'd have to go hunting for like the alternative. I remember watching a K-State TCU conference game about a decade ago. It was a conference game. TCU was really, really bad. And I was living in Wichita and it was on TV, but I had to go find a channel like that I had not heard of, that I had never, it was an ESPN broadcast, but there was no ESPN Plus at the time. It was produced by ESPN, or at least it used ESPN graphics, but it was on like, it wasn't even Cox 22. It was on like the alternative feed of Fox Sports Kansas City, I think. Like the backup Fox Sports Kansas City feed had that game. And it was only regional. So if you were a K-State fan and you're living in like Texas, or you're living in California, or you're living in Florida, and you want to watch K-State, you couldn't watch that game. There's just no way you could watch it. So now, at least, there is a way for you to watch every single one of your games. And that's good. But what ends up happening is people say, oh, these games are on Peacock. Do I have to pay for that? Well, yeah, you have to pay for that. Well, I don't want to pay for that. I have to download an app on my phone, or I have to figure out how to make it work on the TV. I don't want to do that. And then here's what happens. The bet that these leagues are making, the bet that the streaming services are making, is that you can't live without it. Is that you are going to go and watch your favorite team, and you're going to do whatever it takes. If that means breaking off, I don't know what it is monthly for Peacock anymore. I think it's like $7.99.
They've changed so much. I used to get it for free.
Yeah, it used to be like $4.99.
Yeah.
And now it's gone up to like $7.99. And yes, as a texter points out in the 913, that you can always get a free trial. But some of you might have burned through your free trial and your email address to watch the Chiefs in the playoffs a couple of years ago, right?
Yeah. Also, some of these streamers are banking on you getting a free trial
and then forgetting to unsubscribe,
and then totally forgetting
you forget
about it,
or paying for a month, and then you forget because it's just $7.99. You just overlook it for like a year, and then before you know it, you've spent $100 in a calendar year, which you could have used to take your wife and kids out to dinner or something, and you've used it on a streaming service that you never watched other than one basketball game. But that is the bet, right? But what ends up happening is that people say, well, I don't need to watch it. I'll as Mark B puts it, I know where I can find the radio broadcast. You're darn right. You know where you can find the K-State radio broadcast right here on 580 WIBW and FM 104.9. But beyond that, people will just say, well, okay, well, it's not on TV. Well, okay, I guess I'll do something else. And then you come to find out that it's not as essential a thing for you to follow your team, to watch every game that your team plays. And the less essential that it feels for the fan to be there, to be front and center, to be in front of the TV for every game, the more of a disconnect that fan feels with their favorite team. You have less passion. You have fewer diehards. You have less engagement from fans because they've decided that, you know what, maybe I don't need to watch all 35 games. I'll just watch the ones I can, and I'll leave the rest. But it's hard to be as engaged and as excited about a product when you're not engaging with it every single time that it occurs. Ask me how I know, as a Colorado Rockies fan that doesn't watch the games anymore. Like, why would I watch that? But you come to find it, you can live without it, or you find other things to do. And I don't know, maybe you take up knitting. I don't know. But that's the downside of this bet that the streamers and the conferences are all making, is they don't think you can live without it. And a lot of you find out that actually you can. I can live without Peacock. I'm not going to go subscribe to this so I can watch 5 basketball games. I'm not going to do it. So that's the bet. Time will tell whether it's a winning or a losing proposition for the streamers. But anyway, the point to all of this is we now know you can go to kstatesports.com or kuathletics.com and know exactly when every KU and K-State game is going to be, and broadly on what channel they will all be broadcast. Text from the 913 asks, can you live without the cock? Listen, there's a show on Peacock called Poker Face that I cannot recommend highly enough. 2 seasons. It's great. My wife and I love it. What's her name? Oh, my God. Natasha Lyonne from Orange is the New Black. She's in it. It's really good. If you end up putting some money down on the cock so you can watch Big 12 basketball this winter, watch Poker Face while you do it. It'll be worth the money for that. So anyhow, can you give us a headline, Spencer, please, and get me to stop talking about the Hawks on the cock?
The wood. Kansas redshirt senior Jalen Daniels is one of 20 semifinalists for the 9th annual Jason Witten Collegiate Man of the Year. The organization announced today it's awarded to honor exemplary leadership by a college player on and off the field. Daniels, he is the first 4-time team captain for the Jayhawks in program history. He was recently named a semifinalist for the William V. Campbell Trophy, awarded the top college football player with the best combination of academics, leadership, and on-field performance. He's having a great 2025 season, 130 for 186 passing for 1,752 yards and 18 touchdowns. His 18 touchdowns through 7 games ranks second in college football and tied for a career high in a single season. So he is now a semifinalist. He was first mentioned a couple weeks ago as in the running for this. So he's now went to the second round.
He's going to go down as an all-time Jayhawk, and not just because of the numbers, just because of what he's meant to that program, the kind of person he is, the kind of leader he's been. There will be, I don't know that he's going to get his name up in the Ring of Honor. I know that there are pretty stringent requirements for that, but Jalen Daniels is going to live long in the memory of KU football. That's for sure. So let's do a playoff roundup before we wind up our headlines, shall we? I think we shall.
Yeah,
we
shall if the button would press.
There.
It's time for the 580 Sports Talk Playoff Roundup.
The Seattle Mariners are as close to a World Series as they have ever been in their franchise's history. They have won 2 games in this year's American League Championship Series. They have won the first 2 games of the ALCS. 10-3 winners over not the Mariners didn't beat the Mariners. They beat the Toronto Blue Jays in Toronto yesterday in Game 2 of that series. They've got a 2-0 series lead, a well-rested pitching staff, and home field advantage for the next 3 games. The Mariners have previously been to the championship series. Happened in 1995, happened in 2000, happened in 2001. But they have never won more than 2 games in an ALCS, which means, of course, they are the only active Major League Baseball franchise that has not played in a World Series. They are 2 games away from changing that.
You don't want them to do that, though.
What's that?
You don't want them to do that with another chance to win a first-time World Series?
They're going to lose to the Dodgers. Everybody who plays the Dodgers is going to lose to the Dodgers. I'm not really worried about it. But it is interesting. This will be the first pro league in the expansion era that will be able to have checked off all those boxes. That every active team, all 30 active Major League Baseball teams, have played in at least 1 World Series, except for the Mariners. And now they are 2 wins away. Everybody else has played in at least 1. The Rays have played in 2. The Rockies have played in 1. Washington, rather famously, has played in 1. Milwaukee's played in 1, didn't win it. There's still a group of teams that has not won a World Series. Milwaukee is still championship-less. Colorado, obviously, Tampa Bay, and Seattle are the 4 teams remaining who have never won a World Series after the Expo/Nationals and the Rangers excused themselves from that club in 2019 and in 2023, respectively. But Seattle's the only one that's never been. Like in the other leagues, you know the teams who've never played for a championship. Who are the NFL teams that never played for a championship?
Browns,
Lions, Texans, Jaguars.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the list. 4 teams never played in a Super Bowl. That is the list. What about in the National Hockey League, teams who never played for a Stanley Cup? That's a tougher list. But it's the Ottawa Senators, it's the Columbus Blue Jackets, it's the Minnesota Wild, it's the Winnipeg Jets.
Yep.
And it's the Phoenix/Utah Mammoths.
Well, yeah, obviously.
Yeah, well, Utah's new, but Phoenix was around for a while. And then before that, they were the original Winnipeg Jets. But yeah, those are the 5 teams in the NA. Oh, Seattle Kraken. 6 teams. Sorry. 6 teams. In basketball, can you name the NBA teams that haven't played for a championship?
No.
The Los Angeles Clippers have never played in an NBA Finals. The Minnesota Timberwolves have never played in an NBA Finals. The Memphis Grizzlies have never played in an NBA Finals. People will say, well, the Sacramento Kings, no. Back when they were the Cincinnati Royals, I believe they played for a championship and may have even won one. But they have played for a championship. Yeah, the Rochester Royals, excuse me, the 1951 NBA champions. So it's not quite the same. But yeah, you've got those 3 in the West, and the Charlotte Hornets / New Orleans Pelicans. So 4 teams in the West. Over in the East, the new Charlotte Hornets have never played for a championship, and I think that's it. Yeah, that's it. So 5 teams rather in the NBA who've never played for a title. It's only 1 in baseball who's never played for a championship. Never mind won one. Never even played in the championship round or series or game. And the Seattle Mariners are now 2 wins away from doing that. Game 1 of the NLCS was last night. Did you catch the finish?
Nope.
Oh, boy, Blake Trinan tried to blow it again. Oh my, I can't.
Typical Blake Trinan.
I can't
retire. Unfortunately, Blake Trinan, man.
Yeah, be careful what you say about the pride of Osage City around here.
Unfortunately, is what I'm saying. He was good as an at.
He hasn't got. He was great last year. He hasn't gotten anybody out in about a month and a half from the Dodger bullpen, but they've got really no other good options because nobody in that bullpen, other than Roki Sasaki, has been getting anybody out. He came on with the tying and winning runs on base for the Brewers in a 2-1 game last night. Immediately issued a full free pass and then very nearly hit Bryce Turang with a slider that would have plated the tying run. Turang got out of the way because that's the natural human reaction. I saw people online like, well, just stand in there and get hit. That's not how it works, man. When a projectile is coming at you, you don't just stand there and let it hit you square in the knee, especially when you have enough time to move. Like, it'd be one thing if it's like a 98-mile-an-hour bullet. Then, yeah, you don't have time to move. You just wear it. But like 84-mile-an-hour slider, it's nipping at your knees. Yeah, human reaction, man. Don't be mad at Bryce Turang for that. It's ridiculous. Be mad at him for swinging at a pitch 10 feet over his head for strike 3, which ended up ending the game. The Dodgers win game 1 of the National League Championship Series by 2-1 final. Game 2 of that series is tonight in Milwaukee. I'm trying to find the starting pitching matchup tonight. It is Yoshinobu Yamamoto for the Dodgers and Brewers ace Freddie Peralta. Blake Snell was awesome last night. They should have let him pitch the 9th. I know he's rather famous for being hooked early in World Series games, Blake Snell, too early. And it almost happened to him again last night. But, boy, he was unbelievable in 8 innings for the Dodgers. So that's your playoff roundup. Those are your 580 Sports Talk headlines. We'll take a break. When we come back, Travis Kelce, as reliable as a redwood tree, and having a terrific year for the Kansas City Chiefs. How terrific? We'll tell you next. So a stat from Sunday night that I saw today from Jesse Newell, friend of the program, Chiefs beat writer at The Athletic. Saw this over on X, and it threw me for a loop. Travis Kelce on Sunday night against the Detroit Lions forced 4 missed tackles. 4 people tried to tackle Travis Kelce over the course. What did he catch? 6 balls on.
I believe so.
Was it 6 or 7? It might have been 7 the week before.
6, 7.
And yeah, it was. Oh God.
You asked for it.
I did. I made that possible. I opened the door for that. I assumed you would be mature enough not to walk through it. But
he did catch 6 balls
Yeah.
for 78 yards.
6 passes on 7 targets. Yeah, the numbers are everywhere. 6 catches for 78 yards. And on those 6 catches, he made 4 players miss tackles. The reason that is noteworthy is that for the entire 2024 regular season and postseason, Travis Kelce recorded 5 missed tackles against.
Yeah.
And that squares with the player we saw last year, right? A player who had a career low 8.5 yards per reception. Even though he caught 97 balls, they only went for 823 yards. He only scored 3 touchdowns. And a lot of those catches were really short. You catch it, turn up field, and fall down pretty quick.
Yeah,
or be tackled pretty quick.
He's already averaging 3 more yards per reception than he did all of last year.
So here's the full accounting of what he's doing so far this year and how it compares. He's at 11.5 yards per catch so far this year. 28 receptions in the team's first 6 games for 321 yards. That is 11.5 yards per catch. That is his highest total since the 2022 season. So better than each of the last 2 years. His yards per target, he's been targeted 37 times and has 321 yards. That's 8.7 yards per target. That is higher than the previous 2 seasons. He was at 6.2 yards per target last year. 8.7 this year. He was at 8.8 yards per target in 2022. 8.7 yards per target is more than Kelce recorded in 2021 when he had 1,100 yards, and more than he had in 2017 when he was a second-team All-Pro and had 1,000 yards. So that's a really good sign that his yards per target are back up to 2022 levels. And this is the stat that is, I think, most impressive and I think most telling about what Travis Kelce is to this Chiefs offense. We talk about success rate a lot on here. I try to review what success rate is every time we talk about it, just in case there's someone new or just in case I don't explain it good the previous time I do it. But a successful play gains 40% or more of the yards needed to gain a first down on first down. So 4 or more yards on 1st and 10. Half of the yards necessary for a first down on a second down play. So a 4-yard catch on 2nd and 8 or a 5-yard catch on 2nd and 10. Those are successful plays. Or a 3rd or 4th down conversion. You move the sticks on 3rd down, you move the sticks on 4th down. That's a successful play. That's a little bit easier to measure. But anyway, are you helping your offense stay on schedule? That is what success rate is a measure of. Travis Kelce's success rate, should it hold, would be by some distance a career high. 73% of Kelce's 28 receptions have been successful plays. They have helped the Chiefs get closer to a first down or converted a 3rd or a 4th down. 73%. There are only 9 receivers in the entire NFL so far this season who have a success rate over 70%. Kelce ranks 5th in the league in his success rate on receptions. And he's doing all of this while playing a lighter snap load than he has in any year since 2014. He's only playing 75% of the snaps. He was at 84% last year. Most of his career, the prime late 2010 Kelce years, he was at over 90%. He hasn't been this low in terms of his snap load since his first full NFL season of 2014 when he played 66% of the snaps. So, how do you get the most out of Travis Kelce? That was such an important question for these Kansas City Chiefs. Because, let's be frank, he makes a lot of money. You can't get no production from a guy you pay a lot of money to. And Travis Kelce is one of the highest paid tight ends in the NFL. You need production from guys who make money. But there was, of course, a lot of discussion about whether he would even come back for his age 36 season. Would he retire? Would he call last year, which was the worst of his career, the least productive of his career in some aspects, a down year, his final season? Well, he came back, said he took off some weight, said he felt a little lighter, felt a little more spry, and he's looked the part. And there are still things that Travis Kelce does as the athleticism slips, as it naturally does for every football player gets into their late 30s. He can still win with his brain. He can still win with the mind meld he's got with Patrick Mahomes. And the Chiefs still know that Travis Kelce on a linebacker is a mismatch. If you can get that matchup, Travis Kelce is going to work his way open. Something we discussed coming out of Sunday night was how often the Chiefs ran 2 tight end personnel against the Lions.
Yeah.
I don't remember. It was more than any other game this season for sure. And I don't remember if it was the most in a game. I don't remember the benchmark exactly. But they ran a lot of 2 tight end personnel against the Lions. And I don't think it's a mistake that Kelce was able to get open and win some one-on-ones and have a productive day with 13 yards per reception and 6 catches on 7 targets for 78 yards. That, I think, is the way forward for utilizing Kelce in the passing game, where I think you're going to see more of the Chiefs in 2 tight end because they have been one of the teams in the league that uses multiple tight ends more than most others. You're going to see more of that. You're going to see more of Mahomes under center because right now that's the way they've gotten the running game unlocked. And as they continue to unlock the running game out of under center formations, that's going to give them play action opportunities. And Travis Kelce can get one-on-ones against linebackers and play action opportunities. Those are going to be conversions. Those are going to be successful plays. Those are going to be drive extenders. And that's how you're going to get Travis Kelce involved in that group of receivers where everybody's eating. Everybody's got to eat, right? And that includes Travis. That's not just a wide receiver thing. Maybe he's not doing a little Flappy Bird thing with his hands, but he got to eat too. And it is encouraging to see him not just targeted in the passing game, because you know when he's out there, he's going to get the ball, but able to shed tackles, make people miss, win one-on-one in space. He really does look better on the field than he did really at any point last year. Full credit to him. I don't know how he found the fountain of youth. I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say. No,
not going there. Not going there. I will say, you said he made 6 catches on 7 targets.
Yeah.
That 7th target, was that a 3rd down?
I don't know. It was a drop pass. I think it was a 2nd down.
He was so mad at himself.
Oh, he's always.
He knew he should have made that catch.
Yeah, he has always been the hardest on himself when he drops passes. It looks like he just wants to dig a hole into the ground and crawl into it every time he drops the pass. But again, 28 receptions on 37 targets so far. So he's catching now close to 76% of his passes. That is an upgrade from last season. And that right now would be the 3rd best catch percentage of his career. The only years where he's caught more of a percentage of his targets were his first full season, 2014, and 2023, where he caught 77% of his targets. Both years he was at 77%. So far this year, he's up around 76. So he's still effective, still got some juice. Chiefs are using him wisely, deploying him a little bit less, just keeping him fresh, and they're being rewarded with a bit of a renaissance year from Travis Kelce, which is a pretty cool thing to see. It's fun to see 87 out there enjoying his football, making big plays, getting back in the end zone again. He's got 2 touchdowns this year. Only had 3 all last season. So it's been fun to see. Been a fun part of what has become a really fun Chiefs offense. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back with a little bit of Random Question Tuesday as we wind down on this Tuesday on 580 Sports Talk. do Random Question Tuesday, shall we? You got a random question?
Yeah, I don't know if I've asked this question before, but what is your biggest, I almost went to that game, or I almost was there moment for one of your teams? Like, I almost went to this game, but then something came up, or I was offered tickets, but I already had plans. Have you ever had something like that where there's been some moment happen?
So the one that comes immediately to mind for me, not my choice, but when I was a kid, my dad's office, people my dad worked with, and my dad went in on a season ticket package for the Colorado Rockies for their first season, the inaugural year at Mile High Stadium. And my dad won the lottery to get the first pick of games. So whichever game that he wanted to pick, he had the first choice of the 81 home games. And naturally, he took the first one and summarily traded those tickets for a host of other games. So the four of us, me and my mom and my dad and my brother, who was like 2 years old at the time, so old enough to need a ticket.
Yeah.
But the four of us ended up going to more games that summer for that first year than we would have otherwise, which was really cool. And it started, it helped foster my long-term love affair with the sport of baseball. But there's only one first Major League Baseball game in Denver with 80,000 people in the stands to see Eric Young, the first batter in Rockies history, homer, and the Rockies beat the Expos 11-4. And there is a part of me that says, man, that would have been really cool to say I was there. There are probably 200,000 people in the front range to say they were there for that game. But it would have been really cool to say I was there. I don't think my dad made the wrong choice because, like I said, we got to go to more games. So it ended up working out. I have lots of fond memories of the other games that we went to. But there's only one first one. And it would have been really cool to have been at the first one.
Yeah, mine, I got two. One, so I was in high school. I was a freshman. So this was 2012. This was the start of the Nationals' relevance.
Okay.
I like to play sports, right? That's part of the reason I'm in this line of work is I wanted to play sports, but I realized I was not good enough anymore. Well, the beginning of that was basketball. High school basketball, played freshman year.
Okay.
And it was like, hey, I want people to know who I am. So I'm going to go to all the, flex day kind of things,
Sure.
like the optional stuff.
Yeah, optional. Yeah, it's optional if you want to be on the team is optional. Yeah. I know what you're talking about.
So I get a text from my dad one day, middle of the day, like this is the first or second week of it. And I missed the other one because I was sick. So I had to go tonight. He texted me. This is the Jason Worth home run game against the Cardinals.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I remember
Club
that.
Tickets or suite tickets. 2 suite tickets.
Oh, man.
My dad.
That's an all-time franchise moment.
My dad, not the biggest sports guy, like wouldn't go by himself. Didn't go.
Oh, so you ruined it for him too.
Yeah. And I don't know where it is now, but he left the ticket in his little toolbox in the garage. And I don't know if it's still there, but he still has the printed out ticket that said Lincoln Club ticket.
Shoot, I keep the ticket, I'd frame it. I just tell people I went.
Yeah. Also, I was working 2019 summer, beginning of it. I was doing a overnight remodel at a Target. So I worked from 10 to 6 and I couldn't take off last minute because I'd already done it before for something. My sister and her then boyfriend were at the outside watching the Caps win the cup outside of the arena.
Oh, man.
Outside of the arena.
That would have been cool.
I was so close to going.
Text from the 785 says, my wife and I went to a Royals game in 2015 for our anniversary. They had clinched the Central the day before. So we had tickets right behind the home dugout. So everybody was very hungover and all the B-listers played. They missed what would have been like the celebration and the fun thing. And they saw like Chesler Cuthbert get a bunch of at-bats probably. 615 text from the 615. So I had a chance to buy a ticket to see the Music City Miracle game. Yeah, that would have been a fun one to go to for sure. Here's my random question today. What is the best sports documentary you've ever seen? Because I think the best sports documentary we'll never get to see is that Bill Belichick, North Carolina football documentary that Hulu's not going to put out anymore because they're not getting any more access because that's a dumpster fire. But I wish we could see all that footage. I think that could have been one of the great storytelling documentaries ever. We're never going to get to see it. So what is the best one you've ever seen?
Well, a little bias here. It's called Ashes to Glory. It's a real, true documentary about Marshall and the plane crash. It's not Hollywood.
I got you.
It's like, this is what really happened. Some of this stuff was dramatized for the movie, but this is the real stories. And it's very, you're going to tug on the emotions more than a movie is.
I love documentaries and I love sports documentaries. So I could sit here for the rest of like the hour and just reel off ones that I really like. But I think the best one I've ever seen is one of the original ESPN 30 for 30s, the two Escobars. That's the best one I've ever seen. If you're talking about documentary series, then I would probably have to go with OJ Made in America. I think that's the best documentary I've ever seen, period, not just sports documentary. The Last Dance, also very good. We have a text from 75 and Peyton in the YouTube comments, both shouting out The Last Dance. Last Dance is very good. Very, very good. Very well done. As far as
it's so well done, and they did it early. Like they premiered it earlier than it was supposed to because they wanted to give people content to watch during COVID.
Yeah, it was something we all watched together, which was part of the fun. The only bad thing about it is that every legendary sports star decided it meant that we needed a documentary about their career, and that gave us Tom Brady, the man in the arena, which is so unnecessary. What a waste of celluloid. Or the Derek Jeter documentary, the least interesting man in the world. Get a 6-part documentary about his career. Get that out of my face. So The Last Dance, great to watch, bad for what it inspired. We got to take a break. The final word is next to 580 Sports Talk. Got to be quick with the final word tonight. What do we got, Spencer Dupuis?
Yeah, we talked about the AP poll coming out for preseason college troops and put KU at 19, make them the 6th best Big 12 basketball team and see what that does to them because they got one of the best, if not the best recruit coming in along with some good transfers and some guys that know the program coming back. So I expect KU to go up the top 25 and not go down it this year.
Final word for me, I'm not writing off the Buffalo Bills entirely following their loss to the Falcons last night, but I do think that game exposed the problems that roster has. And I think they are a team trending down just a little bit, while it certainly feels like the Chiefs, unique to the rest of the AFC powers, are trending in the right direction now through 6 games and heading on into the rest of their season. That should be a very scary proposition, not just for the AFC, but for the rest of the NFL. And for whatever percentage of the population is sick of seeing the Chiefs dominate, tough luck. Get ready for more domination, because I think it's coming around the corner. We're back tomorrow from 3 until 6. For Spencer, I'm Dan. This was 580 Sports Talk. Good night.